I will say, I mean, yeah, to me, I am killing it, but I can always learn more. Like
Right.
I'm, I'm always learn more. I can always, just improve. And then there are things that, I'm struggling with. And like, could I have eventually found the answer from just looking at hundreds of hours of YouTube videos or Googling?
Yeah.
I could have, but
Right.
you're a business coach. So
Right.
so why not ask you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And that's why people go to the health coach.
Yeah.
They could read 100 books, they could go to 100 seminars, or they could ask you. And here's the other thing too is the fun stuff about coaching is that somebody could you I could somebody could read a book, but they don't know how to translate it to their situation.
Hmm.
Or they
Yep.
think, yes, that'll work for them, but that would never work for me. They need somebody to say, this is my expert opinion is that this is what you should do. And they go, okay, done.
Right.
I just did that this last week. Um, I had some help with revamping my LinkedIn page. Well, I could go and visit 1,000 LinkedIn pages to reverse engineer what they're doing, or I could just go to an expert and have them tell me what I need to do for as a coach and what you see what I'm saying? They'll
Yep.
customize it and they'll translate it for me. So because there's 100 different ways of doing it. I want
Yep.
somebody to tell me how I should do it so I don't have to test 100 different ways or five or two.
Absolutely.
So that's the value that you bring is knowing how to translate known things. So also what are you challenged with right now?
I have a few current challenges and one future challenge. The current one is um, getting traffic to my just the business development side of everything, like getting traffic to my website, getting because like I said, I want to do more consulting and more, like you said, educating the educator. That's what I want to do. I want to, do more things in population health. So, which I'm getting in front of people with the podcast. Is just outside of that, like setting up a newsletter. Like, is that something I should be doing, or what? Just things like
Or is
that.
it a waste of time? Yeah, yeah, type
Or
thing.
yeah, or is the
Yeah.
ways I don't know. And then I made my website myself.
Let me go
So
to your
like
website. What's your website?
healthcoachlou.com.
It's probably on your profile, huh?
Yeah.
Contact info, healthcoachlou.com. Okay, you got a couple one then. Actio Health Coach and Health Coach Lou. So why do you
Yeah.
have two? Why do you have two websites?
Well, so Actio Health was the my old employee wellness company one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I just didn't take it off there yet.
I would take that off, are you?
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until you said something.
Yeah, well, no, you wouldn't. Oh, I like your pop-up. Good job. Who did your website for you?
I did it.
Good job. What platform?
WordPress, and I used Elementor.
Impressive. Man, impressive. I love your branding here is great. Why the yellow and the green behind you?
Because I thought it looked cool, and I haven't changed it yet because it doesn't even match.
Well, it stands out. I just wondered if there was something. I didn't know if it was an aura type of thing or what you were going for there.
Well, just because most people use it when they do like that like having like an outline, they either do black or they do like red or like white. Now you want to do something different,
I see. Okay. Yeah, I think you could probably get away without any color there. If you have it's a really clean. It's a great header, and I'll bet you it looks good on mobile too.
You know what? Mobile is interesting. Like it floats. Like so, I don't know how to fix it.
Okay, let me take a look here.
Like I said, like I had to watch hours of YouTube videos to get to my website.
Dude, that's how I won, or that's how I learned. That's how I built my web.
Yeah.
I had a website business. I don't know if you knew that, but
yeah.
Well, I still do, but yeah, that's how I learned how to do web design. YouTube and Google, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. And I had a friend that helped me early on a little, just a little bit. So yeah, so good. The mobile's good. The pop up is great because you can get out of it easy. It's at the top. It doesn't dominate your face. Good job there. So what are you saying floats?
Like when you're scrolling down, like the website like moves a little bit, like back and forth. Or maybe it's just on my phone that it does that.
Yeah, mine it doesn't at all. I'm swiping left and right with my finger and no, it doesn't.
Oh, so maybe it's just my phone.
So what are these stock images that you used at the bottom?
Those are interviews
Oh, where'd
from
the
the
pictures come
podcast.
from? The people sent them to you,
Yep. Or I got them from their LinkedIn profile. Just
right?
copies. Yeah.
Here's the thing I noticed about this podcast page, which I love. However, unless you go to the top, you don't know if the click here is for the top picture or the bottom picture. So if I'm down in the middle, which is where I started,
Oh,
um, I guess it only makes sense it'd be underneath the text, but I would have a little more space between them if you can, because I mean, I'm only going to click once to learn it, but I'm just telling you that
right.
oh, I see where it floats. It's floating a little bit now, actually, but that's an expansion thing. What happens? Somebody goes like this to expand it, even gently, and then it makes it bigger so they can zoom in. But
Oh,
if you snap it back in, then it doesn't do it.
okay.
So that's a zoom feature. No, you're good. That. There's nothing wrong with that. That's man. I love your feed. It looks so great. It's so simple. You have a picture, a headline, and a button. Not a bunch of messy dates or um, a bunch of funky post header stuff. Good. Okay, so sorry, I got off track there. No, it looks fantastic. I see you you're putting your podcasting. So let me ask you, where is your web? Tell me again what your challenge with something with your website.
Just getting people to it.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
so
Like,
are you doing any SEO at all?
so I have, are you familiar with WordPress?
Oh yeah, I that's was my main platform when I was
Okay.
building websites all the time.
So through YouTube, I was told that Yoast SEO is the plugin to use.
Right,
And I don't even know how to use it. Like I'm trying, it's telling me like everything is red. Like you need to add more of this, you need to add more of that. And I'm
right,
like, oh my, I don't even know. Like it's just at this point, it's just overwhelming. And
right.
then
Yeah,
like I'm trying to like figure out more content for the blog side of it. And then so it's like, well, I guess my thing is Jay, like if I'm going to start putting more effort into the blog because like I told you, I'm in the middle of writing a book right now.
right,
And one of the things that I read about marketing the book before it comes out is to have a blog that coincide like that connects with the book
right,
somehow,
right.
that you can reference it, and then doing like snippets of quotes from the book. So I'm doing that stuff. So like if I'm going to start putting work into this blog to potentially get people to learn more about my book, like I want people to actually see my website,
Right.
and get there.
Yeah.
So the
So I give
SEO
you,
is
I mean,
difficult for me.
my business started off doing SEO. I was doing SEO before anybody was doing SEO. I was doing SEO before before any of the local web designers were doing SEO. I was doing it before anybody. In fact, probably so much so, I wasn't doing the big graphics and the big fancy program.
Right.
I wasn't a coder at all. I was a salesperson that only wanted to figure out how to get people to my website and how to get people to my
Mm,
customers' websites. So I wasn't about big fancy bells and whistles, but I was doing SEO early, so I learned a lot of the strategies and tactics, but more the philosophy. And here's the if you get this, then you don't you can do all that extra stuff, the Yoast and filling in every time. That takes time and it's worth it. But here's what you want to do when you're writing the blog post: structure the sentences the way somebody would Google that information. So
Mm.
let's say I'm here. Let me find one of your podcasts here. So Marty White, okay. In this website, okay, so everything on this page is SEOable. Every piece of text is being um, crawled by Google. It's called. They're crawling every piece of text that's on your website. So you have the picture, then you have the headline, and then you have the play button, then you have the social buttons, and then you have the date, and then you have a little blurb, and then you have meet Marty White, and then you have the article. Looks like is that where is above the meet Dr. Marnie White? Is that information pulling from somewhere, or did you put that in the post?
So the audio bar, like, so all of that, like that where it says like the Healthy Project podcast, the title of the podcast, the episode, the date, and like in this episode I speak to Dr. Marty White.
Yeah.
All of that is pulled from Buzzsprout. So
Okay.
I just
Good.
so I just embedded that player into
Okay, it's an
that
embed. Okay,
page.
that's what I was wondering. Okay. So that's not going to be crawled the same that the rest of it is underneath from meet Marty White down. So okay, so is a clinical psychologist specialized in eating and weight disorders. Okay, here's what I would do. So even when I read that sentence, here's what I do from an SEO perspective. I would say you don't have to. Again, this is the strategy. You would say something like this if that's what you were doing. You'd say, Dr. Marty White is a clinical psychologist answering the question, how can we improve our eating and weight disorders?
Mm.
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to understand is when people Google, they Google basically one of two things. They're asking a question or they're searching for an answer. So
Oh, yeah.
so so some people are just putting in keywords in Google. Okay, to they're kind of but some people are writing out sentences. Like how do I overcome this eating disorder? Right? Some people are
Right.
just putting eating disorders. Okay? So but either way, their search can lead to your content because if your keywords are in your post, but if you phrase the question in as many words in the same sequence as somebody would ask the question, the more words that are that the more words and the more the sequence that match the words and sequence that somebody is googling, the higher likelihood that Google is going to bump you to the top of the search results because it's a closer match. If you do a Google search, it sorts the millions of results by relevancy, and they determine relevancy by several things. But one of the highest weighted criteria is how closely does it match the exact words in the exact sequence. And then they break it up from there. Okay, it doesn't have the exact phrase, but it has a couple keywords. And then other things change, like how much they weigh your website as a whole, you as a influencer, those type of things. But so when you're writing, you want to be thinking in terms of what question am I answering? What question in my
Question.
audience's mind? That's right. What
I'm writing
question
this
am I
down.
answering?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. So, and then here's what I would do too is then I would Google that question and see if that's the question they're actually asking. And then down at the bottom of Google, at the very bottom, it has similar results, similar searches. Okay, how do those sequence the phrase and the question too? So then I'd say, okay, how do I want to ask this? How do I want to type this sentence out that answers a question? Maybe it's a sentence, but if you put why before the sentence, it would be a question. See what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
mirror the question as closely as possible, and then constantly asking, what question am I answering while you're writing? So that's the number one thing. That way you can do all that extra stuff, filling in the Yoast and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But that's not going to be as highly weighted as the actual content itself because Google cares about the content, not what you want to be found for. They want
Right.
to evaluate your content, not what you want them to do, because they're not going to be controlled by you. They want to be led by you.
Mm,
Okay.
that makes
So,
sense.
so that's what I do. And when you're talking to people, I would ask them things like that too. What are the common questions that you get? And then boom, their clients' questions are how you're going to word it in the content, because now their clientele type people will be finding your stuff. Because think about, I don't know what Marnie White's she's a clinical psychologist. Okay, so especially in the eating and weight disorders. Okay, so here's the other thing is that people don't Google differently than they talk. In other words, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not going to use jargon, okay, because I'm not a
Hmm.
psychologist. Psychologists Google in their jargon and they don't find stuff sometimes because they're good. So you have to constantly be thinking, what language are they using, and and what question are you answering? That's probably the biggest pointer I could give you. And blogging and Google is so saturated now that you have to do it even more so, or else you'll never ever be found. But um,
Mm,
you should also link to their stuff in your articles and link other places in your blog for stuff. So let's say you're blogging about Marnie. I would I would link out to another piece of information on maybe her website, and then link to another post on in your blog feed that's relevant to that.
mm,
Link ins and link outs help um, when you tie stuff together. I would always ask them to link to your blog post, because Google's kind of like a popularity contest. So if you link to Dr. Marnie White, you don't get any benefit from that. But if she links to you, you get a huge benefit from that because she has more internet credibility than you do.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like when you're in school, who cares if you think the prom queen is gorgeous? Everybody cares if she thinks you're gorgeous.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You get
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
credibility because she likes you than you do because you like her. It's the same thing on the web.
Right. That makes sense.
All
Anytime.
right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Reach out anytime.
We will do. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right. Take care. What I do is I help any business professional who, business owner, solopreneur, entrepreneur, salesperson that whose main responsibility is finding and keeping customers. Okay. So an attorney still has to find and keep customers. They don't consider themselves salespersons. My business path transformation system is the one and only 5-part multidiscipline business plan and coaching program that helps match your marketing and sales to your style, your personality, your work style, your product, and your customers' preferences in new and existing markets. Unlike run of the mill goal centric coaching that doesn't address your business model needs or upgrading your skills or mastering your psychology so that you can make sure that your strategic plan actually happens. So basically what I'm doing is I'm helping solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, salespeople, and small business owners, startups, really find their first customer or their
Oh,
next
right on.
client. How do you break into speaking? How do you monetize this? I don't know everything, but I know a lot of templates that are used in other industries, and I can. There's always a way I can help somebody move to the next step.